I need to learn how to forget. Produced by Big Guy, edited by Chief, music by, there he is. Uh-oh, I forgot how to riff. Boogers, pants, I don't know.
Have you ever been faced with the problem of having to remember something? Perhaps something you were to buy at the grocery store.
The what store?
Or the answer to some examination question.
The hell is my name?
Or the next step in a lab experiment.
Do I boil this or drink
or
it?
the name of a person you wanted to introduce.
Kathy, maybe?
Yes, it is important to be able to remember.
The end.
The thing I want to find out is how to remember. Names, dates,
Interest
things like
rates.
that. And something about them.
Names and dates and something about them. Then there are really two types of remembering.
Two types?
Yes.
GTFO.
Let me use the typewriter, Jeff. I'll show you.
Ah, get thee behind me, adversary.
There is remembering in general, the idea of a thing.
Like cake, or puberty, or genocide.
And there is remembering word for word.
Word.
Memorizing. Whenever you want to remember anything, you have to decide which you need to do.
I get it.
No, you
I
don't.
remember word for word things like names, dates, formulas, and
Cheat codes?
vocabulary words for my French course.
Ooh la la.
And I also remember the general idea of things like stories, lives of great men, and history.
Right.
Are we done here?
And now you're ready to learn how to remember.
That's what I want to find out. How?
Well, Jeff, let's see. What's that book?
This is too hard.
Poetry book.
Let's look at it. Stop. Let's hear you read the one on that page.
Organic girl dropped by last
The
night.
tide rises, the tide falls. The twilight darkens, the curlew calls.
Da da
Along
da
the
da
sea
da
sands,
da
damp
da
and
da da.
brown, the
Da
traveler
da da
hastens
da
toward the
da
town.
da da.
And the tide rises, the tide falls.
Can you remember that much?
I don't think so.
Well, do you know what it means?
Something about sex?
Why don't you start by trying to get the meaning of the poem? What's it all about?
Well,
It's about integrity in gaming journalism.
it's about the tide rising and falling.
And what else? Better look at that poem again.
Can't we do a dirty limerick or something?
The twilight darkens, the curlew calls. What about that?
Oh,
It's racist.
well, it's getting darker.
The sun burned out and we're all gonna
And there are
die.
birds, curlews along the shore calling. Now I'm beginning to understand.
Do you remember it?
Sure. It's about a traveler walking along the shore at sunset toward the town.
No,
Good.
wrong.
Now that you understand, you do remember. Understanding is the first step to remembering. Let's put that down.
Ah, the ghost of Stephen J. Cannell is back.
How to remember. First step, understand the material.
Oh, most people skip that one.
That is a good way to remember things. I'll make sure I understand anything I expect to remember from now on. But
What were we talking
I'd still
about?
like to remember more than that about the poem.
Well, let's look at it again. Notice the poem has 3 stanzas. We know the first stanza is about twilight along the shore. What about the second?
Well,
It's about rolling up to the club
it
at
tells
2
how it
a.m.
becomes night.
And the third?
It's a copyright
The
notice.
next morning. I see. Goes from twilight to night to the next morning.
It's a time
Well,
machine.
that's sort of an overall view. And I remember more about the poem.
Right. That's another step to remembering. We'll put it down, too.
Life's great since the narrator started doing my homework for me.
Get an overall view.
Run out and get a master's degree in literature.
Say, that does help to remember it.
Now, as I read, try to picture what I'm saying.
There once was a man from
The
Sheboygan.
tide rises, the tide falls.
Mr. Belvedere
Twilight
sat
darkens.
on his...
The curlew calls. Along the sea sands, damp and brown, the traveler hastens toward the town.
Burma shave.
And the tide rises, the tide falls.
Was that really true about Mr. Belvedere?
That part of the poem suddenly seems so real.
That's because you visualized it, and that will help you remember too.
Make a short film about everything you want to
Try
remember.
to visualize the things you want to remember.
I'm more of an olfactory learner myself.
I think I can remember it now. Let's see.
Coronet Films presents...
Tide rises, the tide falls. The twilight darkens, the curlew calls. Along the...
This is stupid.
Oh, what is that?
Hey, let's just watch How to Make Cue Cards instead.
Oh, sure. Along the sea sands, damp and brown.
How can you remember that?
Well,
My pants are damp
the
and
beach we
brown.
go to has damp brown sand along its shore.
Didn't ask for your life story, kid.
I used to play in the sand a lot.
Now, try the poem again.
In Latin.
The twilight darkens.
Twilight darkens. The curlew calls. Along the sea
Jockstrap.
sands, damp and brown, the traveler hastens toward the town.
I'm a genius voice of a
Hey,
generation.
that helps. I'll remember the sand now.
There's your next step in remembering.
The quick fox jumped over the lazy
Form
brown dog? What the hell?
There are many aids to remembering.
How do I remember them?
Notice in your poem how the last words rhyme.
What? No way. How'd I miss that?
Falls, calls, brown, town. And see how many times the phrase, the tide rises, the tide falls, is repeated.
It's like some kind of
These are
poem.
all memory aids. You know another sort of memory association from your science work.
I'm familiar with my
Do
work,
you
yes.
remember the colors of the spectrum in order?
Red,
Gray,
orange.
gray, gray, gray,
Oh,
gray.
yes. Roy G. Biv.
He's in my
You
homeroom.
make up a name out of the first letters of the colors. Roy G. Biv.
Bell
Then
Biv
you can remember
DeFoe.
the colors.
That's right. This kind of association helps you remember.
It sure does. But say, let me try that poem again.
Ta-ta-ta, de-tia, tistra.
Along the sea sands, damp and brown, the traveler
Oh my God, it's about me.
does something toward the town. I remember the idea. I can even see the picture, but, well, I just can't remember the words.
Can I get a new narrator?
Hastens toward that town, that's it.
Yeah, you oughta.
If I can just get past that, the rest comes to my mind.
That seems to be a key idea.
I mean, sure.
Maybe there are more of them in the poem. Let's look. How about twilight darkens,
Twilight Sparkle?
traveler hastens, darkness settles,
Audience snoozes.
morning breaks,
Tedium encroaches.
day returns. Those seem to give the most help.
Look, I just need to remember my password.
I don't think I'll get stuck if I remember those key ideas.
A good point.
I'm writing you another poem, Dave.
Pick out key ideas. This step is essential to efficient memorizing.
Can't you just prescribe me a memory pill or something?
Say, following those rules, I can remember anything.
Not everything.
Huh?
You must forget useless information so you can remember useful information more easily.
But I need those Simpsons
Wait.
quotes.
Don't forget one last important thing.
Jedi holocrons.
If you want to recall readily, you must repeat and use what you have learned.
Tell the same story at every party.
I guess you really have to know how to remember in order to remember well.
I mean, what the hell are we doing here?
These rules should help a lot. Let's see if I can remember the rules.
What? No, you'll get stuck in a memory loop.
Understand the material. Get an overall view. Visualize.
Primp
Form associations.
and professionalism.
I've plenty of associations to remember those rules with. That typewriter going by itself will surely stick in my mind.
I'm losing my damn marbles.
Well, those 4 rules are important for remembering the general idea of something. When you want to memorize, there are 2 more steps. Pick out the key ideas, and then repeat the material frequently, using it.
Or just use the Notes app.
You know, I think I memorized that poem with those rules. Let's see.
The tide bird fell on the
Tide
brown place.
rises and the tide falls. The
Snopes
twilight
says
darkens,
Belvedere
the curtain
sat on
falls.
those balls.
Along the sea sands, damp and brown, the traveler hastens toward the town.
It's Wings Wednesday at Hooters.
Tide rises, the tide falls.
Uh-oh, you kind of trailed off
Using
there.
the same rules, Jeff went on to memorize the rest of the poem.
Sure he did.
And he learned to remember many other things.
Like the Gilligan's Island theme song.
Now he no longer has trouble with names when he wants to introduce them.
Hey, Shooter, this is Sugar Butt.
You'll find, too, that it helps in your studies and in your social life to learn how to remember.
In one ear and out the other. Wait a minute, did I already riff this one? Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoy Fun with Shorts, please like and share. And if you want to see all the Fun with Shorts, check me out at patreon.com/JoshWay. For as little as $1 per video, you can see the monthly exclusive episode as well as other goodies and freebies. Thanks a lot. See you next time.